are not prepared.
Hey, buddy, watch this.
Yeah, as we know, Demon Hunter's had some pretty OP cards in its short lifespan, and that's why I asked you guys, the Regis Gillidan community, to come up with some Demon Hunter designs of your own, and that's exactly what we've got in this video, like Eldrin Darkmoon. This card from Faroon puts a new spin on the start of game effect that we've seen in the past with Baku and Gin, which is really scary, but instead of having odd or even cost cards, in this case, they have to be prime numbers. Now, with Baku and Gin, you had access to 5 and 6 different unique mana costs, respectively, for those cards. With Eldrin Darkmoon, you'd only have access to 4, and particularly in the mid-game, you would be limiting yourself from any 4 or 6 mana cards. One really noteworthy card you'd have to sacrifice here is Skull of Gul'dan, in particular at that 6 slot, which could really hurt how you build Demon Hunter. You're also giving up any sort of 1-drops for those really fast, aggressive starts. Now, Demon Hunter has a hero power that would help a lot. And in this case, with Eldrin Darkmoon, it would help a lot because it gets Wind Fury if you do satisfy this deck building condition. And needless to say, Wind Fury with Demon Hunter is totally insane. They can boost their attack a ton. But remember, you can't use things like Twin Slice, so you're going to have to rely on some other cards instead. Maybe a Chaos Strike would be fine, which means you could pump out a lot of burst damage, maybe trade into boards really well, do shenanigans with Murgulis with Azzinoth. There are still a lot of opportunities there. It's just really limited in how you build your deck if you want to reap the rewards of this Wind Fury. So is it worth it? Is it OP? I don't know. It's hard to tell because we don't know what the future of Demon Hunter is going to look like. And cards like this, I feel like you almost have to see them in practice. But I'm curious what you think. If you think this one's too crazy strong, certainly let me know in the comments below. Or if you think this prime restriction would actually be a great way to put a new twist on Gin and Baku. So next up here, let's move over to the Banished Worgen from Cameron Cardoza, which got some really sick custom artwork here, I think. Putting a purple Worgen head on Illidan's body. As far as I can tell, I think this one's photoshopped. Although, who knows? Maybe not, but it looks sick either way. It's a 4-mana 1/9 demon with Rush and Outcast. Swap this minion's attack and health. So this harkens back to the Worgen-style cards of old we saw with the Witchwood that basically got like 0 play. Nobody was playing with Worgen cards. But this puts a really cool twist on it because there's a lot of stats to work with here. In particular, if you get that as a 9/1 rush, you could use this as a great way to clear a lot of different minions, or as a 1/9 body just to get down and start eating lots of tokens or lackeys or whatever other things along the way. And you have the ability to influence how these stats actually align themselves with Outcast, which is pretty cool. Instead of being reliant on it just happening every turn without your control or influence, this gives you that control, which I think could make this card really succeed far more than some of its Worgen peers of the past. So this takes a couple cool mechanics, fuses them together. I don't think this is an especially high power level card. In many cases, you have Demon Hunter doing crazier things than this, and a 9/1 taking a straight trade sounds kind of cool, but you know, a lot of time you'd be using it to kill like a 3/3 anyway, so do the stats really matter? But all in all, it's just a really fun idea, and certainly a very well executed fantasy and artwork on this card. So moving on here to a legendary quest for Demon Hunter. It's cool seeing what could have been in a lot of cases with Demon Hunter cards like this, where they didn't get a lot of these same mechanics that other classes got to explore. This is I Hunt Alone from Bob52, and the quest would be to take 15 damage during your turn. So in a single turn, you got to take up to 15 damage. Now, you, of course, can do that by like hitting an 8/8 a couple times with your Warglaives of Azzinoth, right? And you activate this quest. The reward is then Chupacabra's Claw, which I think Chupacabra making the move in here is pretty funny. And this one would give you +1 attack like normal, but also life steal for the turn. So you take a lot of damage, and this allows you to essentially regain that life either in the same turn in some cases, right? Because you could hit this newly refreshed hero power and attack with like a 3rd Warglaives of Azzinoth hit into, say, that same 8/8 or something different. Or just across the rest of the future part of the game, right? You could keep regaining all the damage you took But of course, there's some risk reward here. Did you take too much all at once? Is your opponent going to find lethal? Can you recover in time? Do you find the right moment to do this? Can you even line up taking 15 damage? There's a lot of things to do here. Plus, the payoff on this is pretty slow. But if you're playing for some kind of life gain, late game control style thing, this could work in really nicely. If you have the synergies here to help take that damage, this could be a very powerful tool. Maybe not one that every deck wants to run. Certainly not Tempo Demon Hunter as we see it today. I don't think would be able to utilize this very successfully. They're going face way too much. But I love putting a different look on Demon Hunter here and giving it some different ways to play. And I think this card does that really, really well. Moving on here to the Illidari Brewmaster, a 3-mana 4/3 from Picora with a battle cry that reads, return a friendly minion to the leftmost spot of your hand. So we have a few Brewmaster style cards in Hearthstone right now. It's all about bouncing stuff back to your hand. And this puts a really cool Demon Hunter Outcast spin on that effect, specifically moving it to the left hand of your side, whereas normally a bounced card would go to the right hand side. And you might think, well, hey, right hand side's Outcast too, so what's the benefit of having it on the left? Well, if you don't play it immediately, it's much better to set it as an Outcast card on the left, because if you're waiting on a future turn, you're going to draw a card that will then take that rightmost spot. So basically, Illidari Brewmaster allows you to utilize some card with Outcast, bounce it back to your hand, and have that guaranteed activation in the future, whereas, say, a normal Brewmaster card wouldn't necessarily guarantee it on future turns. I think this is a really cool way to support those Outcast style effects. Now, is this something that would be utilized right now in Hearthstone? Maybe you could do something like Crimson Sigil Runners as far as we see Demon Hunter today. I don't know that the stat upside here would be enough to give up other really powerful Demon Hunter cards. But of course, there's a lot of Demon Hunter stuff coming down the pipe in the next 5 years. Who knows? A card like this could enable some really cool game plans, bouncing minions in a really effective way. So I love the idea here of actually having a Panda Brewmaster style minion that is a Demon Hunter, and putting this effect in a way and in a manner that really supports what the class is all about is super, super cool. So moving on here, we have a spell for Demon Hunter, which was actually pretty rare to see in the submissions. This is Fel Portal from Kael'Thas, a 4-mana spell that will summon you a random demon with cost equal to your hero's attack. So the idea here is if you can get to really high attack totals, then you could cheat out some big demons at a lower cost. And I really like this idea of turning your attack into other advantages, particularly something that's not just all about going face and you know, bursting down your opponent, which is currently Demon Hunter's real strengths. I like shifting that focus into something different, maybe a little bit slower. Fel Portal does that pretty neatly. Now, I will say I don't think this is necessarily a great card, because if you're just like 3 or 4 attack, Fel Portal's not going to make a lot of sense. You're going to summon a 3 or 4 cost demon at 4 mana. It's going to be random. That's pretty weak. But as you get to like 6, 7, 8, this card starts to be a pretty significant mana discount in a lot of ways. But how readily and how easily can you get to 6, 7, 8? So I don't know if this is perfect from a power level standpoint, or frankly, maybe it's okay if it's just not that good, but at least it does something unique and different and opens up additional angles of play for Demon Hunter in the future. I think that's really pretty cool. Like, for instance, imagine a Demon Hunter weapon that says can't attack face, but it has a base attack of like 7 or 8. Certainly Fel Portal could go crazy with a card like that, and those scenarios could exist in the future, and Fel Portal would slot in very nicely as a new way to see this class in action. Moving on here, we have a legendary Murloc, Murgulis from the Beholder, a 3-mana 3/3 battle cry. For the rest of the game, your demons also count as Murlocs. So, God forbid, I don't know if this is something we want in Hearthstone, but I think it is really cool making things like your Satyr Overseers and the minions they summon actually have Murloc synergies. So you could slam a Murloc War Leader and give them attack buffs. God, this sounds kind of terrible, but also kind of cool. We already have one Murloc card in Demon Hunter, and that was enough to inspire me to build an aggro Murloc Demon Hunter deck that worked kind of okay. A card like this could really pull those two worlds together in a pretty hilarious fashion. Now, it may be problematic, but I think it'd be really cool to see what Murlocs and Demon Hunters look like. That's something that Warcraft itself has certainly played with in the past, this idea, and why not squeeze that into Hearthstone as well? Hopefully it wouldn't be necessarily competitive, but I think it could be a lot of fun. This was a very commonly submitted idea in this custom card review. A lot of people went with this one. This card I thought hit the best kind of mix of simplicity and name and art and all that fun stuff. So This is the one that made the cut, but clearly something a lot of people were thinking about, so you guys are evil demon murloc degenerates. Moving on here to the Felblade Adept from Baron Sinclair, a 2-mana 1/4 demon with a battle cry that reads gain attack equal to your hero's attack. So this is sort of like the Demon Hunter version of Bloodsail Raider, but note that it's not based on weapon attack. It is in fact based on just attack. So you don't have to have a weapon equipped, and it won't just be that base weapons buff. So if you had like 8 attack from Inner Demon when you played this, sure enough, this would come down as a 9/4 minion. And of course, this just feels like so true to Demon Hunter's like core identity. It feels kind of perfect. It's, you know, I'd say power crept a little bit from Bloodsail Raider, which is good because it's a class card. It should be a little bit stronger, but it just looks and feels and fits so darn well. Is this a good card? Yeah. Is it too good? Maybe, but even that, right, is sort of reflective of what we expect from Demon Hunter as well. So I don't know if this is necessarily a card I'd want to be in the game. I'm worried it could be too good. Just as a big, sticky, reliable body with a lot of upside, particularly in the mid game. It wouldn't necessarily be great on turn 2, but it could be with Twin Slice, right? Some big swings possible there. But nonetheless, it just does everything right. It looks like a real Hearthstone card. I wouldn't be shocked if this appeared in the next set. So I figured I kind of had to include it in this video. So next up here is Tarabel Soultaker, a 5-mana 6/5 from Sidather. With Outcast, take control of a dormant enemy minion. And I love this idea because right now dormant cards just can't be interacted with at all. There's nothing you can do with them. They just are there. Literally can't interact with them at all, except sometimes board positioning impacts. But this allows you to interact with dormant minions. In fact, even steal one, which is a really niche effect. Like, rarely ever are you going to need to do this. There aren't that many dormant minions in the meta. We just got most of them. Only a handful are being played. It's unlikely we get any more in the future, but it's cool for cards like this to exist as those really specific tech cards that would have a really big upside, particularly in mirror match of things like Imprisoned Ante and ever became a big part of the meta. Again, a card like this could be an enormous swing style card, a combo setup with Maiev where you steal something super awesome. So is this card good right now? No, this card's terrible right now, but would it be really neat if it existed in the game? I think so. I think giving dormant minions some kind of counterplay would be awesome, and this looks like a great card to do it. So next up here is Varedis Felsoul, a hero card for Demon Hunter. This one comes from Lord Asdif, and the battle card reads, replace your hand with random demons, give them all +4/+4. Now, I know what you're thinking, wait a minute, isn't that just like a really, really expensive Shadow Council, a 1-mana spell for Warlock? It is, but there are 2 important distinctions here. I think number 1 is the buff is twice as big, which is substantial. Beyond that, you get a new hero power, which could be a really, really cool hero power. Fel Infusion is 2 mana. I personally would have made this 1 mana to stay in flavor with Demon Hunter, and I think actually, in fact, better balance this card, which has a pretty slow front half with the hero card. I think it'd be nice if the hero power accelerated a little bit of tempo and helped you gain some of that lost tempo back. But anyway, it's 2 mana here. It reads deal 2 damage to a minion, and if it's a friendly demon, give it +2/+2 instead. So you can actually stack up the buffs even more. And I think this presents a really cool late game win condition, even if it is way worse than Shadow Council, and Shadow Council is not necessarily a great card right now. You could still imagine how big these demons would be. Plus, if you're built your deck in a way to support this, or you had things that helped you cheat out demons, maybe we get future cards for Demon Hunter that synergize with playing demons really rapidly from your hand. You could imagine how well a card like this would start to scale, despite that pretty big disparity between it and Shadow Council right now. So at the moment, would this be good? No, I think it'd pretty certainly be very, very slow and awkward. But in the future, who knows? I love big effects like this. I think it would be a lot of fun. This hero power, I like the fact that it's kind of got a duality to it, both offensive and strong at a guaranteed 2 damage ping if you need it, but also having that upside to buff things that are already on board, maybe rush demons, etc., to really start regaining lost tempo. So all in all, maybe a few things I'd tweak here and there about this card, but nonetheless, a fun idea I'd love to see executed super well. And then finally here, my last hero card, it's Gillidan from Davon, a 2-mana hero card with start of game effect. If your deck has only even cost cards, Gillidan becomes your hero. He does have a 1-mana hero power here, Finitiates, which summons you a 1/1 Gillidan with Rush, puns everywhere. A Gillidan in this case would in fact be a Murloc. And I think this is a really fun idea here to give you, first off, a strong hero power. Obviously, that's much better than something like Silverhand Recruit Summoning, because these have Rush and it's only 1 mana, so that's fantastic. But it also could help you synergize in 2 different ways with Murloc decks. Murloc War Leader with this hero power suddenly becomes really pretty nifty, but also token stuff in Demon Hunter, which we've seen a little bit of. And of course, with even cost cards, things like Feast of Souls, which could draw you a ton of cards, is playable with this hero power and this hero card. So all in all, there are some pretty neat lines you could take there. And as you can tell from the rest of this video, I want to see Demon Hunter move different directions. I think a card like this could do that in a couple ways. So at the end of the day, this card does so many things perfectly: name, art, flavor, feel, mechanical, exploration. This one is a card I'd love to see in Hearthstone. And there you go, folks. That wraps it up for this video. I have to say, I haven't done one of these in a little while. I was feeling a little bit rusty talking about these cards, so forgive me if I stumbled through these a little bit. But of course, as always, I'm more curious to hear your thoughts than mine. What do you think about these cards? What does Demon Hunter need? What do they not need? Which of these suck? Which are OP? I like to hear your take. Leave that in the comments below. If you're looking for the next custom card review, check the description below for a link. The theme is going to be Titan hero cards. I want you to make me a hero card based on Warcraft's Titans. You can include Sargeras in there as well, maybe even Azeroth if you'd like. As long as it's the Titan or Titan adjacent, I'm happy to see it. It's got to be a hero card. Again, check the description for the link. But until then, thanks much as always for watching, and until next time, game on.